All right. So any student that's ever had me knows what my 4 golden rules are. And so I want to post these at this time too, because they are also probably going to be chiseled into as my epitaph on my gravestone. I should be able to call my kids and they can list them off. There's only 4. So I want to lay them out for you right now because I think it is applicable to Bogart really on every chapter, but really when we're talking about, I think, terror and embarrassment, which to me goes with vulnerability. So number one, golden rules of Kim Bartley. Number 1, be kind even if it's inconvenient. Kind even if it's inconvenient. When I was at USF, I had a reputation for always being late. And there's a reason for that. And so I would tell my students, if you were in a traditional setting in colleges, a lot of times they say 15 minutes if the teacher, instructor's not there, you're allowed to leave. My students were told straight up, if I'm not here, you better have your butts in the seats when I show up. I don't care if it's 20 or half hour. The only reason I might not be in class when it starts is because one person needed me more than 45. Because sometimes you have to be kind even if it's inconvenient. I will also tell you probably some of the greatest relationships that I've had with people is because somebody's been kind to me, even though it was inconvenient for them, and vice versa. So, yeah, think about what that means. Being kind, even if it's inconvenient. So what? Your mom is a little needy right now because, she's worried about the world, or your dad's worried about the world. How inconvenient is it to call your mother's and your father's, for Pete's sakes, right? Maybe it's inconvenient for 2 minutes, but be kind. Always choose kindness. Number two is love on people the most when they act like they want, deserve, and need it the least. I'm going to say it again. Love on people the most when they act like they want, deserve, and need it the least. I always tease that my youngest son calls those the Tyler Bartling years, ages 16 to 24. That's my oldest son, who couldn't seem to make a really good decision during those times. But you know what? We just kept loving on him, despite the fact that he would have loved nothing more than for me to yell or scream or whatever while he was making those bad decisions, Instead, when students are being ugly, sometimes, not you guys would never be ugly, but I've had students like that to miss an exam, for example, and then all of a sudden I don't see him for a couple of weeks. I'll call and go, hey, where are you? And it's because they were embarrassed. And so they're embarrassed to come in and talk to me about the fact that they missed a test or whatever. And so that one test turns into 2 weeks of classroom. And so I typically will, again, lean into that and just want to, love on that student, making them responsible. Don't get me wrong, making my children responsible when they're acting like, absolute. I always said, don't be an a-hole, but you lean into that and go, I'm going to love on you right now. I'm not going to go cheap, which is to yell back, right? We talk about tactics. To yell back is to push, and it doesn't get anybody any place. But to love on them the most. Like I said, going back to the students, a lot of times I'll have students go, next thing you know is their response is, I'm a terrible teacher, or they don't like the way I lecture, or they don't like, whatever. How can that possibly be? But it's, again, them fighting back when they are, choosing to make bad choices. Loving people the most when they act like they want, deserve, and need it the least. The parents in the room, you know what I mean? Okay, number 3. Number 3 is choose to make memories over money. Every time. And please don't translate that to being irresponsible with credit cards, things like that. But there's, first of all, a lot of things you can do to make memories without it costing a lot of money. But sometimes you just got to suck it up and go. So I'm a huge proponent of travel if you can. If you're invited, go. Be safe. But come from a place of yes. Make memories over money. Number 4. Here's number 4, because here's comes if you don't have a lot of money, easy. If your head and your heart and your hands are open, you will always be rich. Seriously, if your head, your heart, and your hands are open to other people, you will always be rich. It's not just a line. It's the truth. It's the absolute truth. And so I leave you knowing that it's probably the really big teaching, because you guys truly feel my heart and feel my head, and I feel the embrace. And for that, I thank you.